It was almost midnight when Daniel stopped scrolling. He had been lying on his bed, phone in one hand, lights off, room quiet. He was not looking for anything special. Just videos. Just photos. Just another normal night. Then he saw the image. It was a gas station. At first, it looked normal. A small gas station on a long highway. But something felt wrong. Very wrong. The sky was dark, almost black. Only one streetlight was working, and it flickered like it was tired. The gas pumps stood empty. No cars. No people. No movement. The shop door was half open, but inside was only darkness. The camera flash made everything look sharp and cold. Daniel felt a chill. The post had already gone viral. Thousands of likes. Thousands of comments. People were saying strange things. Never stop here after midnight. My uncle disappeared near this place. This image is cursed. I feel sick just looking at it. Daniel swallowed. He told himself it was just people talking. Just stories. But his eyes stayed on the image. Then he noticed something small. Near the shop window, there was a piece of paper taped to the glass. A handwritten sign. The writing was unclear, but one thing stood out. A date. The date was from many years ago. Why would an old sign still be there? Daniel whispered to himself. He zoomed in. The quality dropped, but he could still see the paper. The words were messy, written in a hurry. He could not read the full message, but it looked like more than a price sign. More than a note for customers. It felt personal. Daniel scrolled down to read more comments. One person wrote, "This photo was taken the night everything went wrong." Another said, "The story was buried." Someone else replied, "Some truths don't stay hidden forever." Daniel put the phone down. His heart was beating faster now. He tried to sleep. He closed his eyes. But the image stayed in his mind. The empty pumps. The dark door. The silent road. It felt like the photo was watching him back. After a few minutes, he picked up his phone again. He searched for the image. More posts appeared. Different pages. Different captions. But the same photo. Always the same angle. Always the same darkness. One post caught his attention. "This gas station no longer exists," it said. "But the story does." Daniel sat up. "No longer exists," he said quietly. He searched the location mentioned in one comment. It was a highway far from the city. A road used mostly by truck drivers and late-night travelers. A place people passed through, not a place they remembered. Daniel felt a strange pull. He had always liked mysteries, but this felt different. This felt real. He opened his laptop. He searched old news articles. At first, nothing appeared. Then he changed the search words. He added the highway number, the nearby town. Finally, one small result came up. An old forum post. The title read, "Strange Night at Old Highway Gas Station. Anyone remember?" Daniel clicked it. The post was short. The writer said that many years ago, something bad happened at a gas station on that highway. Police came. Questions were asked. Then silence. No updates. No answers. The last comment was from someone who wrote, "They don't want people to talk about it." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Who is they?" he asked the empty room. He looked again at the image on his phone. This time, he noticed something else. Near the edge of the photo, close to the shop door, there was a dark shape. It could be a shadow. It could be nothing. Or it could be someone standing there. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He checked the time. 12:47 a.m. Just one more search, he told himself. He typed the name of the gas station, taken from a blurry comment under the image. The name was old and not easy to read. This time, the result surprised him. There was a missing person report. The report was dated the same year as the sign in the photo. Daniel stared at the screen. The name of the missing person was not clear, but the location was the same. The gas station. Daniel slowly closed his laptop. He knew one thing for sure now. That image was not just creepy. It was a clue. And whatever happened at that gas station was not a ghost story. It was something real. Something hidden. Something someone did not want people to remember. Daniel looked at the photo one last time before turning off the light. "I'll find the full story," he said quietly. He did not know it yet, but this decision would pull him into a mystery deeper and darker than he ever imagined. Daniel woke up with the image still in his mind. The gas station followed him into the morning like a shadow. While making coffee, he kept thinking about the handwritten sign and the missing person report. It did not feel like a coincidence anymore. It felt like a trail. He sat at his desk and opened his laptop again. This time, he was more focused. He searched for maps of the old highway. Some roads were no longer marked. Others had new names. But after careful searching, he found it. The gas station was listed as permanently closed. Daniel zoomed in on satellite images. The building was still there. The roof looked damaged. The parking lot was cracked. Nature was slowly taking it back. Grass grew where cars once stopped for fuel. He felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Next, he searched for local news archives. Most articles were missing. Some links were broken. But after hours of digging, he found a short report buried deep in an old website. The title was simple and cold. Night worker reported missing. The article said the worker was last seen during a stormy night. Police were called in the morning by a delivery driver who found the gas station open but empty. There were no signs of violence. No witnesses came forward. The case remained unsolved. Daniel noticed something strange. The article did not mention the worker's name. That bothered him. He searched social media next. Old posts. Old photos. He looked for people who might have lived near the highway. Most accounts were inactive. But one profile stood out. It belonged to an older man named Harold. His posts talked about trucking, long roads, and lonely nights. Daniel sent him a message. "Do you remember the old gas station on Highway 17? He wrote. Hours passed. Daniel tried to focus on work, but his thoughts kept drifting back. Just before sunset, a reply came. "I remember it," Harold wrote. "Wish I didn't." Daniel's hands felt cold. They started chatting. Harold said many drivers avoided that place near the end. Not because of ghosts, but because of fear. He said something strange happened there, something people did not talk about openly. Daniel asked what he meant. Harold replied, "That station was not safe. Not at night." Daniel pressed for details, but Harold stopped responding. The silence felt heavy. Later that evening, Daniel found another clue. In the comments under one viral post, someone mentioned a woman and a child. The comment was quickly deleted, but Daniel had taken a screenshot earlier. A woman and a child. That matched the forum post from part 1. Daniel searched missing persons again. This time, he narrowed it down by year and location. 2 reports appeared. One for a young woman. One for a child. Both cases were marked inactive. Both last seen near Highway 17. Daniel leaned back in his chair. 3 disappearances. 1 location. His phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. "If you're looking into the gas station, stop now." Daniel stared at the screen. His heart began to race. He typed back, "Who is this?" No reply came. Daniel felt watched, even though he was alone. He checked the time. Night had fallen. Rain started tapping against his window. The sound reminded him of the article. Stormy night. Missing worker. Daniel opened the image again. He looked closer than before. He adjusted brightness and contrast. That was when he saw it clearly. The shadow near the door was not random. It was shaped like a person standing still. Daniel's throat went dry. He realized something important then. That image was not taken by accident. Someone stood there long enough to frame the shot. Someone wanted that moment saved. The gas station was not just a place where something happened. It was a place where someone was trying to tell a story. Daniel closed his laptop slowly. He knew part 2 of his search had confirmed one thing. The past was not silent. It was waiting to be uncovered. And Daniel understood his curiosity was now impossible to control any more fully. Years before the image went viral, the highway looked very different. Fewer lights, fewer signs, and much more silence. On that night, rain fell hard, washing the road in long silver lines. The gas station stood alone, glowing weakly in the storm. Inside the shop, a young man named Ethan worked the night shift. He had taken the job because it paid extra, not because he liked nights. He hated storms. Thunder made his chest feel tight. But he needed the money, so he stayed. Close to midnight, the rain grew louder. The wind pushed against the building, making the old windows shake. Ethan checked the clock and hoped no one else would stop by. That was when headlights appeared on the road. A car slowly pulled into the station. Ethan watched through the glass as the car parked near the pumps. It was old and dirty, like it had been driving for a long time. The engine stayed on. For a moment, no one came out. Then the driver's door opened. A woman stepped out, holding a child close to her side. The child looked tired and scared. The woman's clothes were wet, and her hands shook as she walked toward the shop. Ethan opened the door for them. "We need help," the woman said quietly. Ethan nodded and let them inside. The warm light filled the room. The woman asked for water and to use the phone. Ethan pointed toward the counter phone, but when she tried it, there was no signal. "The storm knocked the lines out," Ethan explained. The woman's face fell. She looked around, as if she expected someone else to be there. But the station was empty. As Ethan turned to get water, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. The power cut out completely. Only the sound of rain remained. Ethan froze. He reached for the flashlight under the counter and turned it on. The beam cut through the darkness, shaking in his hand. He called out to the woman, but she did not answer. The child began to cry. From outside, a loud noise echoed behind the building. It sounded like footsteps on wet gravel. Slow. Heavy. Ethan felt fear rise in his throat. He moved toward the back door to check the breaker box, telling himself it was nothing. Just the storm. Just his imagination. But when he opened the door slightly, the rain hit his face hard. The flashlight beam showed a dark shape moving near the storage area. Someone was there. Ethan stepped back and shut the door. His heart pounded. He locked it and turned around. The woman and child were gone. Only a chair lay on the floor, knocked over. The shop door creaked open and shut as the wind pushed it. The rain washed away every sound, every clue. Ethan shouted their names, but his voice sounded small and lost. He checked the bathroom, the back room, and even behind the counter. There was no sign of them anywhere. The child's crying had stopped, which scared him more than the noise ever could. Another sound came from outside, closer this time. Metal scraped against metal, followed by a low voice he could not understand. Ethan felt trapped between staying inside and running into the storm. His phone showed no signal, only a blank screen and low battery. He grabbed a pen and a piece of paper with shaking hands. He wrote a short message, not knowing why, only feeling that someone needed to see it. He taped the paper to the window, hoping help would come. The flashlight flickered. Ethan backed into the corner of the shop, listening to the rain hide everything that happened next. When morning came, the storm was gone. The highway was quiet again. But Ethan was gone too, leaving only questions behind. Years later, that single moment would return, forcing strangers to look closer, ask harder questions, and finally understand the truth hidden by rain and silence for so many years alone. Morning light reached the highway slowly, like it was afraid to look. The storm had passed, leaving wet asphalt and broken silence behind. A delivery driver named Mark pulled into the gas station just after sunrise. He stopped because the shop lights were still on, which felt strange after such a hard night. Mark stepped out of his truck and called out. No answer came. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air felt cold and heavy. A chair lay on its side near the counter. Papers were scattered, damp at the edges. The coffee machine was still warm, as if someone had been there minutes earlier. Mark felt uneasy. He walked to the back room and then to the bathroom. Both were empty. He stepped outside and looked around the building. Rainwater had washed the ground clean. No footprints. No tire marks. Nothing to show what happened. Mark called the police. Officers arrived within the hour. They asked questions and took notes. They searched the shop, the storage area, and the land behind the station. They found the breaker box open. They found a flashlight with weak batteries. On the window, they found a piece of paper taped to the glass. The message was short and messy. It looked rushed. It did not explain much, but it showed fear. The officers took the paper and placed it into a bag. They asked Mark if he had seen anyone on the road. He had not. The missing worker's name was finally written down, but it did not appear in the first reports shared with the public. The officers said they would investigate and asked locals to come forward if they knew anything. No one did. Days passed. Then weeks. The station stayed open during the day, but nights were different. Fewer people stopped. Drivers talked in quiet voices. Rumors spread faster than facts. Some said a woman and a child were last seen there. Others said the worker left on his own. No story matched the next. Police searched nearby woods and old buildings. They checked rivers and drains after the rain. They found nothing. No bodies. No clothes. No proof. Without proof, the case slowed down. The owner of the gas station gave a short statement. He said the station was old and often lost power. He said the worker must have panicked and left. He promised to improve safety. Then he stopped talking to the press. After a few months, the station closed at night. A year later, it closed forever. Files were moved. Boxes were stored. The case was marked inactive. Life went on for most people. New roads opened. New stations were built. The old one faded into memory, becoming just another place drivers passed without stopping. Some locals warned newcomers to keep driving. Others said nothing at all. Years later, the image appeared online. People stared at the photo and felt something they could not name. They argued in comments and shared stories that felt half true. But no one had the full picture. Not yet. Back in the present, Daniel read the old reports again and again. He noticed how careful the words were. How many details were missing. How often the same phrases appeared. He saw where questions should have been asked and were not. He also noticed who stopped speaking. The owner's name appeared in early notes and then disappeared. A company logo changed after the closure. A business address moved. These were small things, but they formed a pattern. Daniel realized the morning after the storm did not reveal the truth. It buried it. The rain had washed the ground clean, and time had done the rest. But the message on the window and the empty station still spoke, if someone listened closely enough to hear them now. Daniel decided to keep digging, even if it meant upsetting powerful people. He saved copies, took notes, and marked dates. He promised himself to be careful and patient. Truth often hides behind quiet mornings, closed doors, and missing lines. Someone knew what happened, and someday they would speak. He was ready to listen, no matter the cost. Daniel did not post anything about his findings right away. Instead, he watched. He followed comments, shares, and reactions as the image spread again. Each repost brought new stories. Some people claimed they had driven past the station before it closed. Others said they knew someone who vanished nearby. Many stories sounded false, but a few repeated the same small details, and those details mattered. Daniel noticed the same highway number appear again and again, always followed by silence and missing names that felt intentional and carefully chosen by someone who feared memory more than truth itself, deeply now shared. He decided to search business records next. Old company files showed the gas station owner had connections to transport firms and private storage yards. None of that was illegal, but it explained why trucks often stopped there late. Daniel also found a short lawsuit reference that ended suddenly. No details were given. The timing matched the disappearances, which made his chest tighten with unease. He saved copies quietly, knowing records like these often vanished when noticed by the wrong eyes, watching online forums closely every night again, slowly now alone, thinking carefully about power, silence, and control behind them all. One night, Daniel received an email without a name. The message was short and calm. It said the station was used as a transfer point, not for fuel, but for people. Those who asked questions were moved along or made quiet. The stormy night caused a mistake. Someone arrived who was not planned, and panic followed. The writer warned Daniel to stop searching, saying truth had already destroyed lives before and would do so again without mercy or regret if exposed openly now again. Soon, please stop. Now Daniel read twice, breathing slowly, feeling cold resolve grow stronger inside him. Daniel compared the email with the missing reports. The pattern finally made sense. The woman and child were never random travelers. They were running. Ethan, the worker, was never meant to be involved. He became a witness, and witnesses were dangerous. The sign on the window was not fear alone. It was a warning. Daniel imagined Ethan writing fast, hands shaking, choosing words that might survive if he did not. That thought stayed with him, heavy and personal. Turning curiosity into responsibility, he could no longer ignore again, fully now at all times inside himself, quietly breathing deeply alone tonight. He knew sharing everything at once could destroy the truth. So he planned carefully. He connected timelines, names, and places. He archived files offline and backed them up twice. If someone tried to erase the story again, it would fail. For the first time, Daniel felt fear mixed with purpose, and that purpose felt stronger. He was no longer just a viewer of a viral image, but a keeper of memory others tried to bury. That thought gave him calm strength as night returned. Rain falling softly outside like before, reminding him of Ethan and the choice made alone then. Daniel prepared to reveal only one piece next. Not the crime, not the names, but the human cost. He chose Ethan's story. He wrote about a night worker who tried to help strangers and paid for it. He posted carefully, without accusation. The response was immediate and emotional, spreading faster than the image ever did. People shared memories, tears, and anger. Old drivers spoke. Families asked questions. Pressure began to grow online, slow but steady, forcing attention back to a forgotten road again. At last now, where silence once ruled everything alone before forever broken open wide today again here. Daniel knew danger followed truth, but stopping now would betray everyone lost. He saved the last files and looked at the image again. It no longer felt cursed. It felt alive. The shadow, the sign, the silence all spoke clearly. Part 5 of the story was no longer about mystery. It was about courage. And with that understanding, Daniel prepared himself for what came next. Knowing truth once moving forward never truly stops. Even when people try hard to bury it again beneath time, rain, fear, and lies forever, because stories want light, breath, justice, and witnesses like him now. Daniel waited 3 days before releasing the final part. Those days felt longer than any before. He barely slept, barely ate, and checked his messages every hour. People were talking now. The story had moved beyond comments and forums. Independent writers asked questions. Old drivers shared routes and names. The forgotten gas station was forgotten no more. On the 4th night, Daniel sat alone and opened his files one last time. Everything was there. Timelines lined up. Records matched stories. The anonymous email had been confirmed by 2 separate sources who came forward after his post. They did not want attention. They only wanted the truth to exist somewhere safe. Daniel wrote carefully. He explained that the gas station was used as a quiet transfer point connected to illegal transport operations. People who needed to disappear passed through places like that. Most workers never noticed. Ethan did. That night, a plan failed. The storm delayed a scheduled pickup. The woman and child arrived early, desperate and afraid. When the power failed, panic spread. Someone was already nearby, waiting. Daniel did not describe violence. He did not need to. The absence spoke louder. Ethan vanished because he saw too much. The woman and child vanished because they were never meant to be seen. The rain erased footprints, and fear erased voices. Authorities followed weak leads and stopped where influence began. When Daniel posted part 6, the response exploded. The image was shared again, but this time with context. People saw the sign not as something creepy, but as a final message. The shadow was no longer a ghost. It was proof. The station owner's name surfaced again, followed by old connections and sudden business changes after the closure. Questions reached officials who had stayed silent for years. Within a week, the case was officially reopened. Daniel watched the announcement on his screen with quiet disbelief. He did not celebrate. He felt heavy, like someone who finally put down a long burden. Truth did not bring joy. It brought responsibility. Messages continued to arrive. Some thanked him. Some warned him. One message stood out. It was short and unsigned. You did what he couldn't. Daniel understood immediately. He closed his laptop and sat in silence for a long time. Days later, investigators released a statement. They confirmed evidence had been overlooked and promised accountability. They did not say much, but they said enough. Families who had waited years finally had answers coming. The road was no longer quiet. The gas station was fenced off again, this time for investigation, not abandonment. Cameras appeared. Evidence teams returned. The place looked smaller in daylight, less powerful, like it had lost its grip. Daniel drove past it once, stopping at a distance. He did not take pictures. He did not need to. He looked at the building and whispered a thank you to those who never got to leave. The wind moved through broken signs, and for the first time, the place felt empty in a peaceful way. That night, Daniel posted one final message. This image went viral because the truth wanted air. Remember the people behind it. Don't let silence win. He turned off notifications after that. The story lived on without him. Videos were made. Articles were written. The gas station became a symbol, not of fear, but of exposure. A reminder that ordinary places can hide extraordinary truths. Daniel returned to his normal life, changed but quieter. He slept better. The image no longer haunted him. It had finished its work. Somewhere, a family finally had hope. Somewhere, a name would be spoken again instead of forgotten. And somewhere on a long highway, silence had lost its power. The story ended, but its echo did not.